to pee. She shuffled toward the bathroom just as another thump on the front door echoed up the stairs. For crying out loud. She'd have to delay relieving herself, which was just as well. It meant she wouldn't capture a peek in the mirror of the disheveled face she was presenting to this newcomer. Because of her matronly shape and dowdy gray hair, one of her former residents said she looked like Flora, Sleeping Beauty's fairy godmother, if Flora had been fired, lost her wand, and was forced to live on the street. With that in mind, Evelyn braced the thick wooden banister and descended the Mercy House staircase, step by careful step. Mercy House was a safe haven for victims of domestic violence, founded and operated by Sister Evelyn, Sister Josephine, and Sister Maria, nuns of the Order of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Mercy. Their 5-bedroom, 100-year-old row house in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood of Brooklyn was almost always at capacity. As Evelyn said, good for business, bad for humanity. In the entryway, Evelyn pressed the security code into the system's keypad, 0416, for Hebrews 4:16. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Maria had chosen the verse because it contained two of her favorite words, grace and mercy. Evelyn had voted for 2836, numbers on the keypad that corresponded with Adam, as in, let me Adam, because revenge was often her sinful impulse when she saw the battered women who arrived at their door. The other sisters didn't think this instinct should be condoned, and her suggestion was vetoed. When Evelyn pulled the door open, she found a girl whose skin was tan even in winter, and whose black walnut hair was rigid with gel and coiled in miniature ringlets over her shoulders. Thick charcoal liner, smudged from crying, rimmed her eyelids. Her face acted as a history of her relationship with her assailant, and Evelyn's experienced eye. She was trained as a nurse in the convent and practiced medicine for many years, surveyed the girl's injuries. A fresh red welt circled from her cheekbone to her forehead, like a swollen parenthesis left open, to what Evelyn didn't know. A scab, an older wound, ran vertically down her bottom lip, like dried blood stitches, and her nose took a sudden detour in its center, a trademark break from a previous run-in. No matter how many times Evelyn saw such marks of violence, they still made her stomach turn. Beneath the bruising, there was softness to the girl's face that suggested her features were still developing. God had not yet finished his carving. Based on this and her still budding form, Evelyn guessed her age to be about 16. "Sorry for knocking so much. I didn't know if you heard me." The words rushed from her mouth, as though she were afraid she'd been followed and wanted to explain herself and get out of sight as quickly as possible. The girl squeezed her full, cracked lips together and then released them. I heard this was a place for, you know." Her stare darted from Evelyn to the uncertain night at her back. She faced Evelyn again and shrugged. Her eyes welled with fresh tears. "Do you have room or what?" Sister Evelyn had been doing this long enough to know she wouldn't sleep again for hours, maybe not until the following night, maybe not even then. She swallowed, opened the door fully, and gestured down the hallway. "There's always room for one more." Evelyn twisted the cap off the rusty tea kettle and flipped on the sink faucet. She ignored the girl while the kettle filled, allowing her time to settle into her new surroundings and some privacy to apply the ice pack Evelyn had nonchalantly deposited onto the table. She'd also set out the ham and Swiss that had been sitting in the fridge. She made a sandwich every evening before bed, just in case a resident, current or newly arriving, needed a snack in the middle of the night. Evelyn loosed an unencumbered yawn without bothering to cover her mouth.